recording. Hey Nick, how's it going?
It's going good. Toufii, what's going on? There's like all this craziness. Where are you at?
I'm in Boston actually, and I'm staying in this place where it used to be fire stations around MIT. So there were like an MIT event yesterday and the day before, but there's also a lot of AI roundtables. They invited me, and with all the AI craze, finally people they're catching on. They're like, oh my God, it's happening.
Do they have to make the doorways bigger for people's brains to get through?
I actually I noticed that. I think they do.
So, okay, tell me what's going on with you guys. So there's some pretty good, exciting news in the very near future. What's going on over at Hypercycle?
Yeah, so a lot of exciting stuff. One of the things that I feel like maybe I can share with you my screen so that I can speak and tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Perfect. And before I actually jump into that, so there's a lot of news that they're coming out over the next few weeks, including some of the videos that we did in Paraguay trip, because there's a lot of HPC center being set up there. But at the same time, there's some of the stuff that they are being filmed as we speak that they will come out down the road, but we might be able to open up some of the news on that as well. So it's super exciting. So let me share my screen here. So who are the beneficiaries when you run this AI computer anywhere? One of the things that Hypercycle does really well, it puts the entire machine in a container inside the machine. So what does that mean? So if there's a center that's already running artificial intelligence and they want to maximize, not just increase, maximize the benefit from their machine, Hypercycle is there for them. Okay, so
can I ask you, Toufii,
sure.
Who is the ideal business target? So Hypercycle, the business, who are you looking for to work with?
Sure. So let me walk you through all the 5 beneficiaries, and you get to see, because sometimes it moves from one to the next. Like, for example, when we first started this, our bottleneck was the software owners. And then we started getting a lot of software owners. Then we felt maybe the bottleneck is the HYPC holders. So those are the beneficiaries. Five of those are the beneficiaries every time you run the computer. Okay. And I apologize for the noise, but already checked out and have another flight tonight. So, but that's anyway. So HYPC holders, number 1 beneficiaries, software owners. So what happens? You take your HYPC, you plug them into a software. The marriage of those two create an identity that starts getting a ratio over time. That ratio is super exciting because it enables that machine to split if you feel like splitting it, or if you feel like you have a lot of like hardware, you may not necessarily want to split it. That ratio gets you to make more revenue. Okay,
so let me ask. So just to clarify, group 1 would be the token holders, and all they do is own tokens, and they would benefit obviously from any market activity in the token. But the main benefit would be to participate in this system by embedding the tokens with the software owners. Is that right?
100%. Because the thing is, like, if you were to think about it as a token holder, why are you a token holder? Well, because you learned that those machines, they need the token to operate. Those machines, they need the tokens to have an identity. There is no machine is going to go out live without 1,024 of those. In fact, the very initial sets of machines, they go with 524,288, the big machines, okay? So that machine needs that identity. But also, every single time the module of AI is going to talk to another module of AI, and that is like the whole raison d'etre of Hypercycle, it needs to pass one of those files, at least one. And if it doesn't pass this file, the other machine is not going to do the work. It needs to be paid. So that's how it gets paid. It's through that channel. Right.
So that sharing of data is also a transaction.
Effectively, it is a peer-to-peer because of this file. All the cryptographic proofs are inside the file. There is something that happens that is global every time you move the file's ownership, but the beauty of it is that that thing that happens that is global happens into a lot of cycles. In 1 second, there will be like maybe 1,000 of those globally, and then in every 3 seconds or 15 seconds, there will be 132 characters that is added on every single machine, and that's it. That's the only thing that is added. It's not like a whole replicated ledger or whatnot, because it won't work if you want to replicate ledger.
So it's very, very fast, very lean, very
correct,
simple.
correct. And it's the thing is, like, a lot of people they know that the more you add efficiencies that they are unprecedented, you're able to do things that you couldn't do before. So, for example, if that machine is able to subcontract 3,000 machines in 100 milliseconds. So if you were to look from one perspective, oh, one machine can do another machine, many people, they say, oh, I can do that on a ledger-based blockchain or whatever. But that machine, every single one of them, and there's like one of our clients got 50,000 machines, but every single one of them needs to subcontract about 3,000 machines in 100 milliseconds get to finality. Okay? So cannot depend on a third party, period.
Yeah.
Because then if you think of every single machine that it subcontracts, how about every single one of those can subcontract 3,000 machines, and so on and so forth. This is how it gets very big and exponential. So in 1 second, you get a lot more done. And of course, every time you do one machine subcontracting another machine, you get something that is unprecedented. It's called emergence. Every AI scientist, they understand emergence is what's this whole thing all about, is when you have something that can actually create some intelligence, something else, some intelligence. The togetherness is more, so it's like the
greater
the whole,
than the sum of the parts.
Correct. So that's how people, they say, I can't explain how this AI works. That's one of the reasons, in the exponential of those things. So that's essentially the two beneficiaries. And of course, if you look at this screen here, we have hardware owners and AI royalties. People that are building. Sorry,
real quick, let's go back to two. So
yeah,
we have the Hypercycle token owners. Now you have the software owners, and these are people that have purchased the software license to be able to run the Hypercycle nodes. Is that correct?
Correct. As of now, we have about 65 to 70,000 that they're fully paid nodes. Okay, and in the purchase order, some of them, they have about, the total is about maybe 280,000 nodes.
So you already
haven't even released.
So there's a lot of nodes. There's tons of hundreds of thousands that are just waiting for tokens.
Right, exactly. So it is not our bottleneck today. You see, so that when you say like, why you're not chasing software owners, well, we're always, like any business, you always want to go and satisfy all your customers, but at the same time, you focus on bottleneck, every single time bottleneck. So our other bottleneck for a while was the facility and energy, and space. But then certain things happen over the last while that this is no longer bottleneck. We've got, and I won't announce it now in this one. We'll wait for those announcements, but it's just like fascinating amount of like facilities with lots of energy that they realize that the energy, if it's used towards AI computation, it can be a lot more profitable to them by making this world a better place. They feel good about it, and they make shitloads of money. And this is like,
this makes people happy. So
right.
we now have, so here's the groups. We've got a Hypercycle group of token, the token holder group. We've got a group of software owners. Now they may be the same. You may have people that own the software licenses and they own the tokens. So they've embedded 1,024 Hypercycle tokens per node. However, they may not have the hardware.
Correct.
So that brings us to the third group.
Correct. So the hardware, whichever way we swing it, if we're doing well, the hardware is going to be our bottleneck. Okay. The hardware, many of our customers, they purchase hardware or whatnot, but folks that they're in the AI space know how much demand is on the hardware and why those GPU prices keep going up and whatnot. So here we're talking about hardware that is suitable for AI computation. And if we were to fast forward, let's say 18 months, we will be ready to enable this node to run on any machine, like we said to everyone. And then we won't have that to be the problem. We won't focus on it, because then, you know what, if it's going to run on every single machine, every computer, every laptop, whatnot, then we're good. We're going to have a lot more machines than we can handle.
So would you say, just to paraphrase, so essentially in about 18 months, plus or minus, because software is software,
right,
we will have the ability to have distributed compute resources adding to this network
on any computer. That is the goal. That is our ultimate goal. So
even a MacBook,
even a MacBook, even a phone. Okay, it's just like the components that we're putting in. Now, of course, somebody would be like, "What this guy's talking about? Going to run AI on a phone?" And the answer is like, yes, because it's not every single AI. This is properly distributed AI. This phone can be running a lot of OCRs, for example. Okay, if I want to run OCR in English right now, this phone's got a lot of capabilities that it can do maybe 10 documents per second. Dude, it's a lot.
So is the idea that you would have a bunch of compute resources of varying kind of crunching power, and then you would distribute the jobs that are most suited for those resources, so that each resource is as effective as possible?
We won't do it as a company to distribute, because this is not just distributed computing. There are a lot of distributed computing companies. Because we've figured out a model for the economy to work, it would distribute itself organically. So, like, for example, if you every machine is going to optimize itself to maximize the money based on how much you pay for network and electricity and so on and so forth. And over time, it keeps getting that ratio keep getting higher based on what it's actually doing best, and that's how effectively it gets to be properly distributed without having to forcefully distribute certain things somewhere. It would be like more organically. What it's good at, the fittest survive based on that.
So right now, the hardware owners group, that is the bigger machines with a lot more hash power, a tilling power, you might say, but eventually that's going to be the public. Everybody can participate.
True. And now those big machines, they do, for example, in the process of artificial intelligence, there's like the process of like learning and crunching the data and back propagations, all of the stuff. That's what these machines are good for. But once they've actually, when they finish that, they end up putting the data in a structure, data structure. Once it's done, there's almost any machine can actually run it at that point. It doesn't really need to be that big. So there's a lot of stuff that each and every machine can do something. And with what we're doing here right now, we feel like our bottleneck is hardware right this moment. Tomorrow might not have this bottleneck. It depends on the day. And when it comes to AI royalties, currently it is not bottleneck, because we have lots of marketplaces, as you know. Like, we've already got our co-founder Singularity Net, so we're good on that part. Not just because of Singularity Net, it's just because how open they built their system. So then there's a lot of marketplaces that can actually come in. So it's not like, so there isn't anything here that says it's like we're the only ones going to do it. We've built it in such a way that everybody can actually play together to come in.
That's good. And so just to summarize, AI royalties would be anybody that's got any kind of AI transaction, and you would have, perhaps you designed some piece of software that was processing transactions through the Hypercycle system, and somebody somewhere or some group somewhere is gaining some royalty as their piece of software is being implemented. Right.
So, for example, if somebody wants to compete with, now all the hype is around ChatGPT, but soon the world realizes there's so many other things. But so let's say it is ChatGPT, and or I don't know, like cancer research or whatever it is that somebody's doing. That whoever built that, they need to make money.
Yeah.
So if they want to provide their components to maximize the amount of money, so let's say that there's the companies like making, let's say, $56 million a year on the macro, and then they enable the smallest components to partake in that global AI, probably they're going to jump from 56 million to 500 million. Will they say no to that? I mean, chances are they won't.
Right.
So that's what we mean by the actual AI royalties, because the smallest component needs to make money. Otherwise, it's not going to play.
Right.
And then, of course, we have the facility, energy, and space, and that will always be a component in this universe. You need the space, you need the energy. So currently, it's not a bottleneck, but maybe a couple months ago, it was my sole focus. In fact, I was flying around and going to customers' facilities and visiting them and making sure they're for real, they're excited, and all of the stuff. So yeah, so that's what we are.
You have some facility news, but you can't share it yet. Is that right?
True. Yes, and it's a fascinating news. So it makes things a lot more decentralized at so many different levels. It's exciting.
So okay, give me some dates. What happens next?
Okay, so this is what's happening right now as we speak. There's a lot of things that are happening. Folks are building pools. What are pools? Well, if let's say you're a software owner, do you really need to know the hardware owner? The answer is no. Those guys that are building pools are making it a lot easier for a software owner. Like, you can plug it there. You could be the HYPC holder, whatever. All of those components, they're building pools accordingly. They're even building pools for hardware. It's just amazing. Like the actual hardware owners, you can be, somebody would be like, okay, well, I have lots of hardware. Why don't I get benefit from a lot of pools? So then that I'm not on my own. And effectively, the pool owners, they do the work. They just provide that pool, and whoever want to partake in this pool, they end up getting something via some smart contract that it's actually deterministic, and it runs the way they agree to. So some of the pools that I know that they're actually being built as we speak, and anybody can build pools, by the way. Pools are there available for people to compete. So they provide a pool. They say, it's like, look, if you plug your software in there, you've spent, let's say, X amount of money on your software. This is it's got some yield. We're gonna give you this much return, whatnot.
We expect that in the next 2 months, 6 months. What's the timeline that we think maybe?
Those are actually happening as we speak.
Oh wow!
Because we have we have the actual TG DAOs and communities and all of those that they actually go just before the final date, which is May 1st, when it actually goes on Dexes. It's public and available for everybody from anywhere to actually buy it and sell it.
So on May 1st, the token exists.
Correct.
And I could go to MetaMask and I could swap into some HYPC tokens. Correct.
And there's how many DEXs will it be out day one? How many exchanges? That I don't know, but at least it will be some. Sure. Basically, folks, they will be able to do it on day one. We're being extremely conservative. Why? Well, because we have a lot of demand from inside. We don't really need to build the hype that is unnecessary for people to buy like a token and whatnot. So for that reason, we're not chasing any exchange. We're truly not. So I personally know some of them. I mean, I could, if you feel like it's necessary. If any one of our customers or token holders or whatnot, they feel the urge that we should talk to somebody, they can message me, they can introduce me. More than happy. So it's more so a strategy than a tactics. It's not like we're being lazy or whatnot. It is we feel like what we will be releasing, for example, when we did all the math on all the people that they did the staff and all the employees and all the people that are working together, of how much will go in supply, less than in demand. So we want to ensure, and the demand that's coming from actual clients, and the demand in the last 4 days increased tremendously. So now we know that the demand is going to absorb all of those into those machines, and effectively people, they can choose whether they want to plug them directly into the machines or they want to go through the pools. Um, the answer that I hear from a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to find out those things. I'm just, are those pools going to be available for me? I can just like go with the click and done. The answer is yes. And then they get that. Some pools are being built on every 2 weeks. Others are built it on every month, because people, they like the convenience of like seeing some sort of like stream coming in. It's kind of like if you have a gas station, you own it, it's gonna generate money. You go every 2 weeks, you collect. And then
Yeah.
here,
So
if you're a software owner, hardware, whatever you are, any one of the beneficiaries, they like that thing, you know.
so as a token holder that designates to a pool that's paying every 2 weeks, it's like I get my paycheck every 2 weeks. I get my paycheck.
Right. It's like you own part of a business, or you own, something, and then when it gets distributed, all the hard work is being done by the pools, and then from your perspective, you're like, it comes in, and you can choose if you want to keep it in HYPC. We have to do the math in HYPC. Why? Well, almost everyone we talk to, they tell us, dude, you're going at 10 cents. This is going to be at 30 cents. Why would I accept to take 9% in USDC? I want it to be in that, and in that way, if I want to convert it, I get it converted. It's totally cool. Okay. So then, of course, when we're talking with developers, some developers, they went and start automating that, because people, they're like lazy. They're like, I want to get it, and it comes directly to SCC. So I'm like, all right, cool. That can be done as well. Now, of course, there will also be the evangelists that they will walk people through things, and the pool owners, all of those, and we're more than happy to accept more of those as well, and walk them through it so they can walk others through it and whatnot, because uh, it's kind of like you set up anything. It's like you set up this Zoom. It has some capabilities that if somebody will walk you through it, you'll be able to benefit a lot more through the process, and
to understand that feature set. Yeah.
right. And pool owners, they're so good at this kind of stuff. They're actually good at making videos, whatnot, and hopefully they make them short videos so then people, they can get to the point very quickly. So yeah, it's exciting, super exciting.
So if I'm a future token holder or software owner, hardware owner, the date I need to know is May 1st.
Right. It is May 1st. And one thing that many people that they came in, whether they were staff, employees, advisors, whatnot, they've seen the actual tokenomics that they were changed to a lot better, to a 60 months trajectory. Everybody's seen it for 36 months. So everybody's downloaded from. We changed it for 60 months, and the reason for that is because we're looking for a long, successful journey, not some sort of like. 36 months is still considered good, but 60 months is a lot better.
Yep.
And in those 60 months, we've got an allocation for a lot of things. We've got allocation, for example, for a fund. Why do we need fund? Well, we're building infrastructure. So if anybody that's building some cool AI startup, whatnot, we need to fund them a bit. Why? Because then they will come in, and then and that's exciting, because when you help build an ecosystem, it will pay back big time. It takes like 1 out of 20 to be. Imagine we end up spreading it into like, I don't know, 120 startups over the next 60 months, and one of them would become like the ChatGPT, another one would become like the Google of AI, the other one, this is like super exciting, So it's just not we're thinking of ourselves. We're thinking to be part of this world. We're thinking to truly add value at every single level that we can.
So then, do you have any words, as people prepare for this? Is there anything they need to know in advance? Is there anywhere other than your website? I guess all the information will be at Hypercycle.ai.
Yeah, Hypercycle.ai would be the center of it all, because it has the information about everything that is happening from computer science and developer and all of the stuff. There is the Hypercycle.io that is for investors, and the reason for that, because there is certain countries that they would like to be open. So some people, they like VPNs or whatnot. And then there's the Hypercycle.store. It's where we've been selling our product. It's Hypercycle.store. So those are mainly the things. They will be linked to a lot of partners and even co-founders, such as like about 12 businesses uh, from the ecosystem, which is the Singularity and TODA. And so there's 12 up and running businesses that generate, some of them generate revenue, some of them they're not, but they're 12 up and running businesses. And there will be a lot of new partners that I will not announce. I talked to you about that earlier today. There's about 10 new partners. It's actually 9 generated from this trip, and then there's one from before. So it's super exciting to actually see all of these pieces coming together. We're talking about going at a speed that is unprecedented here, and we're executing. So it's super exciting.
Well, then I guess I am looking forward to May 1st.
Well, thank you, Nick. And this entire community is so fascinating, and I'm looking forward to having more and more folks on board, and together we can build a phenomenal future.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for your time, Toufii.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.